It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
This next one, so we just talked about how there could be some tax changes, and one of the areas that taxes could change is how capital gains are taxed. And again, the financial mutants that listen to this show already start coming up with strategies, right? And so Nancy, I'm sure that she heard this, and so this is her question. Hey, could one donate appreciated assets to avoid capital gains so a charity gets the benefit and you get the tax deduction? And what she's talking about, we've talked about a ton, charitable giving, using a charitable gift fund. Let's talk a little bit about what that is and why, if capital gains rates do increase, why that might be even more valuable for someone to consider that type of strategy.
Yeah, Nancy's actually cleaning up the work. I'm sitting here, when Bo asks me questions or we're doing shows, I have, there's key points I want to make sure I hit. And then, but whenever, it never fails me when I watch a clip or, a show starts performing well and I go follow up to see what it was. I'm like, oh, that was good, but man, I wish we'd added this. Nancy just called in a big one. And the fact that it is true. If all of a sudden capital gains rate, especially for the highest income earners, goes up to 43.4%, people are going to be like, woo, that's a lot of taxes to pay. And then if you're charitably minded, you're going to get really excited to think about, if I have these highly appreciated securities, I'm charitably minded, I could donate those securities. And the charitable gift funds that Fidelity and Schwab offer make this so easy, because what happens is you get a full deduction for the fair market value of what that donation was on the day it was made, and then you never, ever pay the income taxes on that appreciation. So it's a win for you because you get a full market value deduction. You never pay the income tax. It's a great deal for the charity because they get the full value. They typically take the assets, they liquidate it, or like Fidelity Charitable or Schwab, they actually get a check. The charity will send it out they'll send it out directly to the charity. It is a great planning opportunity. And then I don't know if I should go this deep with it, Bo, but I give monthly to my church.
I already know where you're going. Well, this is your favorite part of the strategy.
I love it because it is one of those things where, forever I gave cash like everybody else. But once you've been saving and investing long enough, you will have a big pot of appreciated holdings. And it hit me a number of years ago. I was like, this is crazy that I'm giving cash away. I ought to be giving these appreciated securities because, like I said, it's a win-win. I'm giving to my church at a much higher, appreciated asset, never paying income tax on it. And then here's where you turbocharge this. I dollar cost average. Since I was giving cash to my church every month, what I do is I give appreciated securities, but then I buy back
the exact same thing.
The same holdings, or in an investment. It doesn't have to be the same one, but I just buy investments. What I'm essentially doing over time is I am raising my basis in those appreciated assets, so I have more access to those assets if I ever needed them for liquidity. Plus, I'm essentially replanting seeds. It's kind of like if you know anybody that does timber. What do they do when they go, harvest the pine trees off the land? They immediately come in and plant new pine trees right behind it, and they repeat this process every 20 years.
So you're timbering your taxable account.
You don't have to do this every 20 years. You're going to get a much faster turnover on this, but it is a matter of essentially replanting your growth garden. And what's amazing to me,
your growth garden.
Here's what's cool, because when I do my Fidelity monthly charitable contribution, it lets me, because I max out I maximize the deduction.
Sure.
So it will actually show me the lot of the securities we're donating. And what's really wild to me is that we know 2020 was just a crazy year. I have securities that I bought in February and March of 2020 that appreciated close to 50%, maybe even over 50%, that have now gone to charities. I didn't pay any income tax on that.
You said something right there that is worth noting. One of the reasons he specifically mentioned February and March of 2020 is that when you do give appreciated securities to a charitable gift fund, it has to be long-term. If it's not long-term, you actually don't get that same benefit. If you give a short-term holding, let's say that you participated in GameStop and you put $1,000 into GameStop and all of a sudden it turned into $5,000. Like, you know what? That was fun. I'm going to donate that to charity. but you only held it for 3 or 4 months, the charitable deduction you get is only equal to your basis, not the actual value of the holding. So you get rid of $5,000 of value and only get a $1,000 tax benefit for that. You have to make sure that the holdings or the lots, if you're doing specific lots like Brian, are long-term. They've passed that 365-day window.
I will say, because I had somebody from Fidelity reached out to me directly and said, hey, loved you. You're talking about charitable giving. But you screwed it up in the fact, because it was originally, it was like $5,000 minimum to open this, then it was $2,500. I think it's zero. That's the correction I got from Fidelity Charitable, is that they're like, we're zero now, so there's no minimum to open up one of these accounts. So I mean, this is, if you are charitably minded and you have appreciated holdings in your taxable account, get to it, because this is a great planning opportunity.